Hey, Laura JeH here with the first message for the month of September in a series about the law. Not because I am a legal professional by any means. Instead, it seems that I am on the receiving end of a stick I do not wish to be whipped by. And so I have done research, and that means searching again, if you break down the researching component of the words that we use as the spells that are used to either bind us and keep us confined and within the lines of captivity by captors that have assumed responsibility and authority over that which is proper to them, property, because they have claimed it, and we did not know that the land of limitations and liabilities is not where we need to be, compared to the land of benefits, which is where we can actually recognize who and whose we are as creations of the creator that created all, which means the exclusion of none except the legal fiction has assumed authority over the narrative from which we have searched for answers and therefore are limited by what is written, when the supreme law of the lands is the unwritten and unlimited common law, which is uncapitalized because it does not fall within the guise of capitis diminutio maxima, media, or minima, which is all around possession of property. And if we think that slavery is an issue of the past, my God, we are deceived. My God is not meant to be a religious term in any way, because I do believe that religion is actually the religioning of people based on tribes of BS. Yes, this is my belief system, BS. You can take it, you can leave it, you can see what it means to and for you. And from there, we can either choose to walk forward together nobly and honorably, or we can choose to part ways and you can stay within the land of liabilities. That is your choice. What I wish in this series to come, which I am challenging myself to bring forward in order to liberate myself and others too, without falling under the status within the public of OPCA litigant, which means organized pseudo legal commercial argument litigant, which is a status that would change who I am as a woman who hereby claims the right to remain in my private capacity at all times with all common law, unwritten and uncapitalized or unhyphenated rights reserved at all times. I choose to claim this right so that I can stand in the land of benefits, not liabilities. I choose not to lie, even though we are all able to do so should we choose. But I do believe that that is used to capture souls, and I wish for mine to be free, so I claim the right to be. And I encourage you to recognize that because we have been deceived to believe that what is written is what we have access to and then can choose what we claim from what has already been used, it is not true. What does that mean? Well, it simply means that common law is the supreme law of the lands, and we have every right to claim any rights that we feel the need to reserve rights to by writing it in a lawful notice that we send to those who are trespassing on our rights. When we believe a trespass on our rights has occurred, we need to act honorably and nobly, which means lawfully. We need to fully stand by and on and with the law, not the corporatocratic model that would have us say that jurisdiction is how corpses can claim the right to use the name of the man or woman who was converted into something less and dragged into the public, even though we all start in the private. It is to say that there is a mixed war, that we must now move ourselves into the land of benefits and stay there by claiming the right to do so lawfully via notice. It is honorable to put your enemy on notice that you believe a trespass has occurred and give them a time frame to respond to your notice in order to rebut it. Because in a sentence, but actually negates everything that came before it, and then we say what we really mean. So, I'm sorry, but don't you know about this, and this as to why I did that? So everything that came before but doesn't count because you share the story after it, being the cause for that which comes after the rebutting of the claim. You see? Because, rebut. It is all in the words that we use as the spells that are cast either for or against us. We get to choose how we will use the words, which are the wands, the sacred swords, sacred words, swords that either set us free or keep us in captivity, liabilities being the left-handed turn that would take us somewhere to burn on a cross or just a pole with all the kindling underneath, or we actually choose to drop the cross that would have changed who we were up to the moment when a charge was applied to a person that is not us, but we have been made to believe that that is the same when it is not. Two unequal things should not be joined is a maxim of law. And when you reference a maxim of law in any of the notices you may use, please know that it does then open the whole dictionary of maxims to those who are professionals at the game. And then they can gain fame by defaming you and your name, which is what is being claimed by a mental body that is going to let you ferment in your own ignorance, which means not knowing, while they use that which you opened the dictionary for them to be able to draw from in ways that you didn't realize were already set up with loopholes to bring them back into the moment where they could use what you used against you. Loopholes bring you back into the now, but the law requires us, the legal realm requires us to stay in a not now moment because that is where the fiction lives. So today's message, as the first of the month of September, where I'm going to dive deeper down a rabbit hole, I have been learning how to maneuver because there is a charge against my person, which I have claimed not to be and also not agreed to be surety for, which means to take responsibility for that which was created for the fiction to interact with what is real. This is the equivalent of a social media account, and yet it has been used to make us think we are it. But we wouldn't think that we are our Facebook, LinkedIn, any other social media account. We know that that's just a profile of what is real. And yet the government makes us feel that our person is somehow different and synonymous with who we are, because the suffragettes fought for the right for women to vote and be able to actually say who gets to represent us as the fiction and speak for us on our behalf, which means they then become half of us and get the final say. And we just say, okay, well, if you think that's best, no effing way. Do I want another man or woman to be able to speak for me when I have a solid voice and firm footing to be able to grasp what I believe is right and true, and I will do what is required to exercise that right? And as per one of the comments from a subscriber, I appreciate in a message shared in August, exercise is the physical aspect of exorcism, which is more the mental. So, governmental agencies require the exorcism of us for then needing to exercise our right to claim the right to stay within the land of benefits instead of liabilities, where we need to exercise the demons. Or should we call them demands, for the man that is no longer actually a man, for he has been converted into some other status, title, or personage. Just a little another play on words, but all of this is to say the supreme law of the lands is the unwritten and unlimited law that we can draw from at any time, regardless of what has already been claimed by another. We can make our own claim. And if it needs be a counterclaim to a trespass we deem to have occurred, then so be it. Someone else would need to make a superior claim to our claim. For the thing about all of these alleged charges, particularly where the Reopening Ontario Act, such as what I have a charge against my person for violating, I never agreed to play in that play. That act does not apply to me because I have claimed the right for it to not be relevant. It is not related to me, the woman, who says my person need not be subject to de facto laws that have no force or effect once I have claimed the right to be lawfully self-governing without causing harm, loss, or participating in fraud against my fellow man or woman, for there is no other unless we consent to that being a fact and then resent the ones that seem to stay original, because if we claim to be other than, they are a threat to us, you see? We need to get back to the fact that there is no us versus them. We are all in this together. The best is not what I claim to be. The best is yet to come. And that is because we are choosing to do what is right, what is noble, and what is honorable by standing together. I hope this message serves you. I would love to know what this first installment of a month's worth of common law basics, claims, and capacity education is going to mean to and for you. This is the first message in that. So I look forward to getting better and more concise, in fact. But for now, we are simply unpacking the fiction and how the facts have been turned into BS, belief systems that work against us and keep us in the land of liabilities compared to the land of benefits, where we need to claim the right to be and then make counterclaims should any man or woman try to say that we cannot be what we actually are, which is not entitled, for that is drawing us into the statuses, titles, and personages realm of the fiction. But we have every right to remain standing on our own 2 feet, or one, or whatever we've got to work with. That's what we stand on. And we need to actually claim the right to do it, even if no legs are still present because of mishaps or deformities of our birth. Is it birth though? Because that's what boats do in order to move, you see? We were born, but Admiralty Maritime Law requires us believe that we were birthed. It is so deep, the rabbit hole, that we could either weep and feel victimized by all that has been done to us, or we could see that it has actually been done for us. because everything has the capacity for evil or life, because evil is lived backwards. And when we choose life instead of death, that is where we change the cult we belong to. For culture is the cult you are. You see, we've been deceived to believe that cults are limited to small minorities, when there is a huge one at play we are all a part of. And there are subsections of cults within the larger culture that we are all subject to within the laws of the land that we have previously accepted and received because of the clan that we were born to or came into. But we're correcting all of this, and it's required. Your consent is the con being sent for your consciousness. And your conscience must be the science you trust. When we combine conscience and consciousness, my world, wow, it will open up and no longer be the www.url that we subscribe to. Sub being under, scribe being written, falling under the juris being of right or of law, and diction what a spoker wrote of another, an other. Instead, we say, I choose to scribe a life worth living. I choose to be the authority of my own life, of my own world, and to recognize the microcosmic aspect of the macro. For we are all creating our own world with the people that we have in our midst. And when we are able to actually transform our own lives, our own world, that is when then the whole world begins to feel more whole, because by calling our soul back present into the now moment instead of the fiction of not nows, we send out ripple effects vibrationally that change the whole. And no longer is it a hole we fall into, it is with a W for receiving the divinity that we all come from and all return to and only feel separate from. When we believe that we are separate, safely separate is what the legal fiction would need us to do and would need us to be, would need us to aim for in order to isolate us from our own nature. And now we say no, no longer, no bueno, no good. It is time for us to get back under the hood of our own vehicle, the vehicla of the chariot that is taking us through this life, which is not anything outside of the vessel that our soul is being transported through this life in. So take care of your own body, take care of your own people, your own property. Take care, and then you'll have more care to offer others, for we cannot give what we do not have. I hope this benefits you and helps you choose to actually do what is required to stand in the land of benefits instead of liabilities. And may we all see that the lies that have been told for centuries or however long the fiction has been masquerading as truth, which we then believe to be nonfiction when that means not. When nonfiction means truth, why don't we just call it that? Let's just reduce the credit given to any sort of fiction and instead step into what is true, which is you and me being real together. Together. I look forward to seeing the best that is yet to come, because we choose to create it as conscious co-creators of a reality that we want to pass on to those who come through and from us, who are the players on the field of consciousness, where the con is sent, and we need not accept if we know how to claim our rights lawfully and then stand on those claims and take it to the highest court of competent jurisdiction and take names in the process for any man or woman that is causing harm to the man or woman who is claiming our rights. They're not just liable, they're responsible and accountable. And that is how I believe we take our country, our world back as a whole and become more whole in the process, in our soul. Look forward to your comments. I'm sure they won't all be kind, but do recognize that the unkind things said against or about me because of these beliefs are ultimately reflections of the one who is passing judgment on myself because of how they do that for them. So to you too, I send you love, for you need it as much as any of us. Have a great day. Laura JeH. Namaste. Namago.